Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to order. Before I call to order the regular meeting of the Glendale City Council for May 4th, I would ask one of my colleagues to make a motion to adjourn the special meeting that was held earlier.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The special meeting is adjourned, and now the regular meeting is called to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Council members: Draymond.
Here.
Friedman.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Najarian.
Here. Councilmember Friedman, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Sure. Please raise. Place your right hand over your heart and join me in renewing our pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by President J.P. Morgan of the La Crescenta stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our kind Heavenly Father, we are very thankful to gather here this day. We are thankful for those who spend their time and their talents to help and better our communities, help and better our lives, and pray Thy blessing be with each of them. We're thankful for this great community that we live in, for each of those who have made it so that reach out and serve one another, the way that they care for each other, and we pray that that feeling will grow and continue to permeate our community. We pray for all those who may suffer or have loss of jobs or feel the economic times, that Thy hand will be with them. We'll help them. We'll help them find work. We'll help them know that there are those around them who care about them. We'll help take care of them. We pray that Thou will help us to know and do the things necessary to be a blessing to those around us. We pray for those who protect us, who take care of us in the armed services. Wherever they may be, we ask Thy blessing to be with their families while they're away. Take care of their families and give them solace in times of need. Help them to know that they'll come home safely. Father, we pray that they will come home safely. Thou will bring them back to us. Father, we pray for those who will be here this night that have different items they'd like to bring to the agenda. Help them that they may speak their mind clearly, that they'll feel the desire of those here to help take care of their problems and their needs and their issues, that they will feel Thy hand as well. We give Thee thanks, Father, for all that we do, for this great community we live in. Pray that we may gravitate to those great principles that our forefathers have brought forth, a morality that will give us strength to go forward and bless the lives of all those around us. Bless our children to feel that love, that they'll be protected from the evils of this world. We pray for Thy hand be with us in this meeting and all that we do. Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, may we have your report?
The agenda for the May 4, 2010 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Thursday, April 29, 2010 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And let's go to the next item.
Next item under 3, presentation and appointments. At 3A is the agenda preview for the meetings of May 11, 2010.
Ms. Beers.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, bear with me because there are quite a few items to cover for next week. We start the week off on Monday, May 10th, with a special budget meeting, Director of Administrative Services, regarding non-general fund operations. Excuse me. For Tuesday, May 11th, we have no business agenda items for the Glendale Housing Authority or for the, no, actually we do for the Redevelopment Agency. Director of Community Redevelopment and Housing regarding status of citywide brand and destination campaign by North Star Destination Strategies. We do have a joint public meeting of the Glendale City Council and the Glendale Redevelopment Agency at 2:30. Director of Community Redevelopment and Housing regarding proposed 9th Amendment in the connection with the Central Glendale Redevelopment Project Area. A public hearing, Director of Community Redevelopment and Housing, Grand Central Creative Campus, Phase 2. Director of Community Redevelopment and Housing, Community Planning, Community Services, and Parks and Library regarding Downtown Specific Plan, Urban Art Fund Implementation Options. For the Glendale City Council meeting on May 11th at 6 p.m., we have a number of consent items. Director of Public Works regarding fiscal year 2009-10 slurry seal program. Director of Public Works, intention to grant a franchise to Southern California Edison Company for transmitting and distributing electricity to a limited number of city customers. Director of Public Works, street name signs, citywide replacement and inventory program. Director of Community Services and Parks, integrated care management amendment for the 2009-2010 fiscal year. Director of Community Services and Parks regarding proposed grant application to the Nature Education Facilities Program. General Manager of GWP, proposals received for inspection and overhaul of compressors for Shoal Canyon Landfill Gas Compressor Plant. General Manager of GWP, authorization to increase funding for existing contracts to cover a contractually required bonus for early completion of construction of the Chevy Chase Reservoir and Pump Station. Director of Community Planning regarding use of underutilized public land located at 827 Monterey Road as a community garden. Under action items, we have a number of items. City Manager regarding request for Glendale Chamber of Commerce Patriotism Committee for the city's co-sponsorship of their annual Memorial Day ceremony. City Treasurer quarterly investment review for the quarter ending March 31st. Director of Information Services, recommendation to approve and contract with AT&T through a State of California Master Services Agreement for telephone services for a 2-year period. Director of Community Planning, proposed fees for Community Planning Department, Building and Safety Division. I'm almost done. Hearings. Director of Community Planning regarding appeal of use variance located at 1371 East Colorado Street. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Director of Community Planning regarding proposed ordinance amending Title 30 of the GMC relating to establishing a reasonable accommodation procedure. And that concludes my report, sir.
I don't think anyone is smiling after that. But thank you. We'll see. I think we'll work on that, and we'll work on that. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next item, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, at 3B is a proclamation designating May 8th, 2010 as Fire Services Day.
Thank you. I have a proclamation that will be presented by Councilman Draymond. And the chief is here. And the captain. And here's a proclamation. Whereas the International Association of Fire Chiefs has designated the second Saturday in May as Fire Service Day, a day to focus attention on the varied and technical services being offered by the fire departments of the United States and Canada, and whereas today's firefighters are technically trained and highly skilled professional public servants who perform many public services in addition to the suppression of fire, such as emergency medical response, building inspection, and public fire safety education, and whereas the public can gain valuable life-saving knowledge by seeking out and participating in fire education activities provided annually by the fire department, now therefore I, Ara Najarian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, proclaim May 8th, 2010 as Fire Service Day and call upon the people of Glendale to participate in the open house and activities offered at Glendale fire stations and to take full advantage of the information provided by the fire department personnel to enhance their safety and the safety of their families in the event of a fire or other emergency. Mr. Draymond.
Chief, congratulations. Proclamation. Sorry, I'm proud to present that to you. Very happy that we have yet another Fire Service Day. May 8th, 2010. I'm trying to get the plug in for you, too.
Absolutely.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Fire Station 21. And it's a great opportunity for the public to learn about what you all provide.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. What a pleasure it is for me to come before you to talk a bit about our fire department. What an outstanding organization we have, and this is the one day a year where we get to invite the community into our fire stations to really get an idea of what we do. There's going to be so much going on at our headquarters fire station at 421 Oak Street, right across the street from the Glendale Galleria. We're going to have demonstrations with vehicle extrications. We're going to have educational shows for the kids. LA Troop is going to be there performing plays. The Glendale Police Department is going to be there with their motor officers and their K-9 units. There's going to be so much going on there, and there's going to be a great pancake breakfast going on there all morning long with more pancakes than you know what to do with. We'll be out there flipping them all morning. But each and every one of our fire stations will be open that day for the community. If you just want to knock on the door of your local fire station in your local neighborhood and just take a tour of the station, talk to the firefighters, and really try to get an idea and an understanding of what they do. We're so proud of each and every one of our firefighters here in the Glendale Fire Department, and they do such an outstanding job for the community. We really encourage and want the community to come out and see what we have to offer here in the Glendale Fire Department. We'd like to thank a couple of our sponsors, Nestle and Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. We know it's going to be a warm day that day, so they've each donated pallets of water for the community that comes in. Soto Industries donates all of the pancake mix and all the different things to put on an outstanding breakfast. So Saturday, May 8th from 10 to 2 at any one of our 9 fire stations. But if you want to see a lot of activities, come down to our headquarters fire station at 421 Oak Street. Thank you.
Chief,
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Weaver.
there are different times on here. I hope you know that. Down below it says 9 to noon. Is that something else?
The pancakes will start to come off the grill at 9 o'clock, just so you know.
That's the important hour, Mr. Weaver.
You know, that line
Hey, I've
grows.
been there too many
So
times.
if you want to get there early, it's important to
Forget
get
the
there.
10 o'clock, get there at 9.
And also the community should know, the Fill the Boot that day, all of the proceeds from the Fill the Boot will be donated to 2 of our local charities, the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. So any donation that's given to for the breakfast will be donated to 2 of our local charities, the Salvation Army and the Red Cross.
And one last thing, Mr. Mayor, you didn't hear from me, but if you can't find a place to park in the Galleria.
And absolutely, and then you can walk across and do some Mother's Day shopping to take care of that.
I'm not authorized to say it, but I did.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. It is a great event, and unfortunately this Saturday I can't make it. I've got a special meeting, but I know that you only touched on some of the things that you do. You've got a hose demonstration where you actually power up a full-size fire hose and let the layman see what it's like, and you pull out your rotary saw and saw roofs off cars and extricate. Are they dummies or are they real people in the car?
We'll have real people in the car, but we're not going to take the people apart. Take the people apart. We're going to take the car away from the people.
And there's giveaways. You've
Usually
got
council members volunteer for the role.
We do that every Tuesday, Mr. Chairman.
Every one of the fire department T-shirt or hat, those things will be on sale. We're also going to have our firefighter safety trailer on display for the kids. And what that is it simulates an earthquake happening in the trailer, and the kids will learn how to get out. We'll put smoke in the trailer, and there's a little kitchen and all the rooms that are in a home, and we take this out to the schools and teach the kids fire safety. We're going to have that there also. Face painting, balloons, our antiques. There's going to be more activities than you know what to do.
And it's all free with the help of our sponsors.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain. Next item, please.
At 3C is a proclamation designating May 2010 as the City of Glendale Employees Charitable Giving Month.
Thank you, and I've asked Councilmember Quintero to step forward as I read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Glendale employees are dedicated public servants concerned about the health, vitality, and well-being of the community they serve, and through their caring and generous nature have the power and wherewithal to make a difference. And whereas the City of Glendale provides a charitable giving program for city employees to contribute funds for the benefit and the betterment of the community through opportunities represented by United Way of Greater Los Angeles, which helps to fund over 150 agencies throughout Los Angeles County, and through the Community Foundation of the Verdugos, the Community's Endowment Fund, which has served the community by funding more than 100 local agencies for the past 54 years. Now, therefore, I, Ara Najarian, Mayor of the City of Glendale, proclaim the month of May 2010 as City of Glendale Employees Charitable Giving Month in the City of Glendale organization, and call on all our employees to continue to open their hearts by considering charitable giving opportunities whether on their own or through the city's charitable giving plans, whether through service or by donating monies and goods to those in need.
I want to thank you on behalf of the residents of the city of Glendale, and there's no question about it. Throughout the years, city employees have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars, cold cash, to the different nonprofits that serve Glendale. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, council members, staff, and members of the audience, thank you so much for this proclamation declaring May City of Glendale Employees Charitable Giving Month. Our city employees do have a long history of supporting local charities, whether on their own or through the city's payroll deduction program. City employees do have the opportunity to make a payroll deduction to either the Community Foundation of the Verdugos or the United Way of Greater Los Angeles. I'd like to acknowledge the Community Foundation of the Verdugos. They have been in existence for over 50 years. They use the earnings from past invested contributions to fund over 100 local agencies. In 1998, the city employees got together and established their own donor-advised endowment fund with only $330. Today, that fund has grown to over $55,000. The city also acknowledges the long-standing relationship it has had with the United Way of Greater Los Angeles, who is present here today. United Way currently has an action plan creating pathways out of poverty. They have plan partners of over 150 agencies throughout Los Angeles County, several of which are located right here in Glendale. Glendale Youth Alliance, New Horizons Family Center, and the Glendale Crescenta Valley chapter of the American Red Cross. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I am proud to acknowledge the campaign committee that has been formed of enthusiastic representatives from every city department. The committee members will be working diligently over the next month to raise awareness among their coworkers about the need for services, the services that we have available, and ways to keep those services viable. In closing, I'd like to thank our city employees for the generosity they have demonstrated in the past, the contributions they currently make, and their commitment to making a better community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's move to the next item.
3D is appointment of Mr. Greg Gregorian to the Civil Service Commission. This was a nomination of Councilmember Weaver.
Mr. Weaver.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Reg Gregorian to the position Civil Service. Matt Doyle and I interviewed a number of candidates for the position, and I rely heavily on department heads that interface with the commissions to get their advice on what they believe is the best fit at the time. Matt Doyle strongly supported Reg Gregorian. I've known him for a long number of years. I hadn't known some of his background. Might come in handy. He was Superior Court of California mediator for 8 years, and he has a degree in alternative dispute resolution mediation from Pepperdine Law School. So he might bring some more elements to the commission that we haven't had. So with that, I'd like to nominate him for the position.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion, we'll take roll.
Councilmembers Draymond,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Let's move to the next item.
Next item is City Council and staff comments.
Comments.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Draymond.
I do, Mr. Mayor. I have a few. First, I'd like to congratulate the Glendale Humane Society, Crescenta Valley Proms Plus, and the Montrose Shopping Park Association for a very successful event on Sunday, last Sunday. Their Kids and Critters, 9th annual Kids and Critters event, which is all about children and pets and animals. What could be more fun? And it was a beautiful day out there. Between 16 and 18,000 people showed up over the course of 5 hours. I guess the peak of that was roughly 11:30 to 1. There were animal shows and rides and attractions and pet adoptions and Taste of Montrose, with a variety of restaurants from Glendale and the Crescenta Valley participating to raise money for Proms Plus for the Crescenta Valley High School. And, of course, the Wags and Whiskers Walk, huge pet parade as a fundraiser for the Glendale Humane Society. Very successful event. Saw a number of you all out there, and it was nice to see that so heavily supported. The next item is one that I'm really happy to announce. It's a meeting open to the public. So I'll just read it. This really makes me very happy, and I think it will you too, Mr. Mayor. Open to the public, Supervisor Michael D. Antonovich and the Los Angeles County Department of Parks and Recreation invite you to attend a community meeting regarding a proposed dog park at Crescenta Valley Park. And this public outreach meeting will be held Thursday, May 27th, 2010, from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 3901 Dunsmore Avenue in La Crescenta. And at the community's request, Los Angeles County Department of Parks and Recreation has developed plans for a dog park at CV Park. Before proceeding with the proposed dog park, the county would like more input from the community, so residents are encouraged to participate. And I'm going to leave a phone number for those of you in the room or listening in who would like more information. It's area code 626-356-5407, and has a nice nexus for the city of Glendale because this park is, although it's a county park, sits right in the city of Glendale, and our police department provides the security for that park, and yet it is a county park, so it's a good opportunity, and I think we should support it, and that's just a terrific opportunity for the residents of Glendale as well.
Mr. Mayor, can you bring your dogs to that meeting?
Well, you know, it is funny, Mr. Weaver.
It's not funny.
I think it is very interesting. When we've talked about dog parks in the past, we've heard, well, you know, dogs. You know, we don't have parks for people that we open, only for dogs. Well, it's people that bring their dogs to these parks. They don't drive on their own, and it's a very important asset for our residents as well as our friends in the county area. So I think that's just terrific. I don't know if you can bring your dog to the meeting, but
Try it. Bring it.
but we'll see. But anyway, get the dogs out and contact Supervisor Antonovich and your CV Town Council. I also want to commend Cheryl Davis, the president of the CV Town Council, for her personal work in making this happen. Very, very happy about that. Mr. Hagani, could we get an update on our friends at 1716 Hillside? This is the fellow who took out his lawn, wanted to put in an artificial lawn. The city said no. We provided some mulch so that perhaps the trees on the property whose roots were uncovered would not expire. I would like to know, and perhaps the city attorney can help too, how long we allow a resident to go without a lawn that they've taken out.
Is that a rhetorical question?
No.
Okay.
No, I'd like a response.
It's a pile of mulch.
The update is that Neighborhood Services was going to speak with the individual whose front the yard we're talking about and convince them to use the mulch that was provided for them. I can follow up and give you a report via the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, this is the house that has posted the sign in the front lawn essentially telling the city of Glendale to stuff it in their lawn and leaf bag on their ordinance related to artificial turf in the front lawn. Now, no matter how you feel on that topic, it would seem to me that right now our ordinance is that you got to have landscaping in your yard. And to me, it's an issue, Mr. City Attorney, because right as it is now, this particular homeowner is reaching right into the pockets of his neighbors on that street and affecting their quality of life and their property values.
It is, Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Draymond, you are correct. It is. I think I'll have staff work with Mr. Hagani's Neighborhood Services section to address the issue informally, and if that doesn't work, then we can certainly take sooner rather than later aggressive action should we need to do so.
In the meantime, we'll prepare a status report and an action plan in that regard.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just have a brief one. I was I was speaking before a group of transportation people last Thursday at the Los Angeles Cathedral Conference Center at an event called Move LA. And there were a lot of, it was a progressive group, if you know what I mean, very green. There were many Sierra Club members in attendance, other people advocating low carbon impact transportation modes. And the mayor of LA got up and started, and we all met the mayor a few months ago. He came before us at City Council. And you know how he is. He's very flamboyant, and he was talking about their 19% renewable portfolio for their LA DWP. 19%. Yay, Mr. And they clapped, and they were, chanting. And I couldn't, and quickly I got on my BlackBerry, and I could only get a hold of Bob McFall. Bob, quick, we're higher than 19%, aren't we? And he says, yeah, we're 24%. So immediately after him, I got up and I was bragging about Glendale's 24%, and people are like, quiet. It's like, oh my God, Glendale is 24%? We never knew about Glendale. And I got a lot of comments afterwards congratulating us and the council and GWP for their vision in going that route. And as the mayor laid the ground, Mayor Villaraigosa laid the ground, because, well, it's more expensive, but we feel in the long run it's certainly better for the community. And I think it really made quite an impression that Glendale is with it, and we really have these issues in the front of our minds as we make our decision and make our strategy. For many of these strategies were made 10 or more years ago. So it was very good. It was a little bit of satisfaction to upstage the city of LA and their flamboyant mayor just once.
Looks like you rained on the other mayor's parade, huh?
He had left. I made sure he had left the building before I laid that one out there.
Drop the hammer.
I'm not stupid, okay? But I'm sure his aides may have told him. So that's all. I just wanted to congratulate Glenn Steiger and council for continuing their efforts and pushing for the green portfolio. If there's no other comments from staff, let's move on.
Next is consent items. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. A member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before a motion is proposed.
Mr.
Don't have
Weaver.
any cards. I'll move the consent calendar at 5.
I don't have any cards. It's the entire consent calendar. If there's a second. Thank you. If there's no discussion, let's take roll call.
Council members Draymond?
Yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
Quintero?
Yes.
Weaver?
Aye.
Mayor Najarian?
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next item.
Next would be oral communications.
Okay, thank you. I know many of you are here in the room are waiting patiently to address council. These cards that I'm taking now are for community announcements, and I will get to all the young ladies and young men in just a moment. We're going to take some of these other cards first. First one, Camille Levy and Elizabeth Manasarian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City staff. We're back again to show you our public service announcement, which is running on several channels. As soon as she gets it started. I am the Executive Director of Glendale Healthy Kids, and as we are waiting, I just wanted to say thank you. We are in our 16th year of providing services to the city, to the kids within the greater Glendale area. Additionally, in addition to referral services, on April 17th, we held our second annual For the Kids Health Fair. We had over 300 kids who had vision screening, dental screening, body mass index testing, glucose, one-touch glucose testing, all free. We want to make sure that our kids are healthy. Last Friday, on April 30th, over 500 ninth graders at Hoover High School participated in much the same fair all day long. However, there was a kick to it. They learned about cyber safety and sexting and frenemies, what to do to protect themselves from bullying, as well as driving sober. We are committed not only to providing health care access, but the education that goes along with it so that our kids can be healthy in the community, because kids who are healthy and pain-free learn better, test higher, miss less days of school, which doesn't cost our school district then, and more importantly, the test scores that go up reflect in our community and in our economic development. We're ready? Oh, good.
I have a passion for helping people. That's why I became a dentist. Unfortunately, these days, many children don't have access to the services they need. Glendale Healthy Kids fills that gap and provides access to free medical and dental care to those who need it most.
Thank you, Glendale Healthy Kids.
Okay.
That's okay.
We're good.
Y'all just
Do we
need
ever-
to watch TV, the local channels, on a regular basis. It's on.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Elizabeth Manasarian. I'm the president of the board of Glendale Healthy Kids. I'm here today to announce a very exciting fundraiser that we have called Taste of Glendale, and I'd like to invite you all to be there on Wednesday, May 12th, from 5:30 to 8. And we have tickets selling at Alex Theater. The taste is going to be by participation of 45 restaurants, am I correct? 45 restaurants. The last count, they're going to be participating, providing food for all the participants. The tickets are going to be $25 for adults and $10 for children. And we're also, this year, we're doing something new. We're collaborating with the Glendale Association for the Retarded, and we're doing a taste of wine with them, and they're going to be selling their tickets separately, but we're all working together for the well-being of the children. So I really encourage all of you and invite all of you to come and take part and be a part of this fun food and music night and help our children. And funds from fundraisers like this are the ones that provide for the health care of the children who need it the most. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Lawrence Kalfayan.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, staff. My name is Lawrence Kalfayan, and I'm Vice President of the Northwest Glendale Homeowners Association. And the reason I'm here this evening is to invite you to our association's annual meeting, which is tomorrow evening, Wednesday, May 5th at 7:30 at the Brand Library Recital Hall. And the reason I'm inviting you is because tomorrow night's meeting has appeal to more than just our own neighborhood. We're very pleased to have with us Mike Gatto and Sundar Ramani, who are candidates for California's 43rd Assembly District seat in the upcoming elections. So we're looking forward to meeting them and hearing what they have to say. And as you can see on the picture, that's our announcement for tomorrow's meeting. And in addition to our two candidates, we are also pleased to have with us Mr. Rene Karapedyan, who is the president of the Kenneth Village Merchants Association. And as you know, Kenneth Village is one of the jewels of our neighborhood, our charming retail and shopping district on Kenneth Road. And Mr. Karapedyan is going to be enlightening us on what's new in Kenneth Village and what they have in store for us. So membership in our association is not required. You don't have to live in our neighborhood. We would like as many of you to attend. You're all welcome. And of course, refreshments will be served. So we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's a very good dog groomer, too.
Renee at Pet Rush.
Pet Rush.
Yes, I've actually, on your recommendation, Mr. Weaver, I took my
Yeah.
little Ruby there.
Good.
Thank you. Paula Devine, followed by Harut Pogosian.
That is your dog, I assume, that you're talking about.
Okay, we won't go there. Paula Devine from the Commission on the Status of Women. And I'd like to start out this evening by thanking Mayor Najarian and Councilman Quintero for attending the Take Back the Night March, our sexual assault awareness evening. We really appreciate it when the council comes to our events. But I'm really here tonight as a last call for anyone in our community who would like to attend the Commission on the Status of Women Jewels of Glendale Luncheon. And the luncheon is May 13th, next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, at the Embassy Suites Hotel at 11 o'clock. We're honoring 4 wonderful women, courageous women who have overcome all sorts of obstacles in their lives, disease, drugs, homelessness, abuse. And Lisa Babari, Deborah Collins, Camille Levy, and Melina Thorpe are our awardees. We are also going to do a special chairs recognition for Genevieve Sultanfuss, who is, as of today, I would say 99 3/4 years old. And so that's a pretty special place to be. And so we're going to honor her for all of her volunteerism in the city of Glendale. So I encourage everyone, if you haven't gotten a ticket and you'd like to come, to please get in touch with Christine Baboumian at City Hall, 548-4844. We are also encouraging people to bring canned foods for the Salvation Army so that we can build their food bank, and we think this would be a great opportunity to do that. I want to also let the community know that all of the programs that the Commission puts on during the year is totally funded by this luncheon. The programs that we do are not subsidized by the city. And so this money that we earn on this day go to all of our programs, one of which was scholarships for Girls on the Run, which is at PAC Ed, and that was earmarked money, grants for girls in South Glendale, so that they would have an activity and a program beneficial to the girls in that area. So that's just one example of what we do. So I hope that if there's anyone out there that hasn't gotten a ticket yet and would like to come to the luncheon, to please call 548-4844 and get information. And I look forward to seeing all of you at the luncheon. Thank you.
Thank you. Harut Pogosian, followed by Leon Mayer.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here to announce 2 events that Senator Liu's office will be hosting this month. First, Senator Liu will be hosting an EDD workshop this Saturday, May 8th, from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Vertigo Workforce Center in Glendale on 1255 South Central Avenue. Second, Senator Liu will be hosting a town hall meeting regarding the budget at the Glendale Public Library on 222 East Harvard Street here in Glendale on Saturday, May 22nd from 2:30 to 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and staff. My name is Leon Mayer. I'm chairman of the Author, Artists, and Friends series for the Glendale Public Library. We're in our 10th year, and tomorrow night we're going to have the Bikers of Glendale come to see Gil Garcetti and his picture book about Paris women and bicycles. Last call for that event, and I see we have competition at the Brand Library, so I don't know where to go as far as that's concerned. Before I make another important announcement, I see all these AYSO players in the audience, and we're having a beautiful program sometime in June. We're not ready to make a formal announcement because I don't have the date and time with me. We're having a great program for the AYSO people, and I know they'll enjoy it, and they can find out about it, if not from me here at the podium, at all the libraries and branches and everything in Glendale. Now, next Monday, we're having what I consider one of the best programs we've had in a long time, and we've had some very, very good programs over the years and recently. But next Monday at 7 o'clock at Central Auditorium, we're going to have Father Greg Boyle, the parish priest who founded Homeboys, a gang intervention program that earned national acclaim. And we invite everybody, not just Father Boyle, not just the Catholic churches, any church organization, community organization that's interested in gang violence, working with youth. We invite everybody there to come and see Father Boyle. The name of his book is Tattoos on the Heart, The Power of Boundless Compassion. And then when you think about the book and the title, it tells a lot right there. And parking will be validated. You park over at the Maryland Harvard structure. We can validate for 3 hours at the library. I have flyers for those who don't have the flyers yet. We hope maybe in the next 3 weeks we'll get an announcement in the news press, but until then I will continue to promote this event so everybody can know about it. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody on May 10th, Monday, 7 o'clock, Central Auditorium. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, Coach Abkarian. Let me call you forward. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes of time.
Okay, great.
And you can use that any way you wish. I know there's several of your players that you'd like to introduce and permit them to say a few words, maybe another coach or two. I know the boys are separate. Boys are a separate announcement and issue, so they're not using your time. So,
okay.
So you've got 5 minutes, Coach.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of the council, staff. Thank you for this time. I really appreciate it. My name is Coach Alfred. I'm from AYSO Soccer, and we're here to talk about, looks like we picked the right month and the right night to come here since it's Charitable Giving Month. So I don't want to speak too long because I want my girls to come step up to the podium and talk to you directly. But we're honored tonight. We've been honored by being selected to go to the AYSO National Games in Florida in July. And we actually have 3 teams that have been selected from the city of Glendale. It's a lot of work. Takes a lot of money to try to take 60 players, about 30 parents to supervise, about 90 players, arranging their flights, arranging their hotel room, trying to go there. That's a lot of work. But we're honored, and we're honored to represent the city in Florida. And we thank you for all your support that you've given us over the years. And we hope that you continue to support us and help us represent our city at the National Games in Florida. I was going to bring my whole team over here so you guys can see it, but there's too many of them. There's not enough space. So with your permission, if you don't mind, I want to have them stand up.
Please.
Go ahead. All of you, please stand up. So I've got 3 of the girls that want to speak, so I won't take their time. I'd rather have them speak directly to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. And let us know your names.
My name's Rebecca Pereira. Hi, Mr. Mayor. We are here today to ask you and the residents of Glendale, La Crescenta to support us in our fundraising efforts. As you can imagine, the cost for going on this one-week trip is substantial. To help us fund this trip, our teams have planned several fundraising events to help us raise money. We are planning a car wash in June and a bingo night on Saturday, June 5th from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Dad's Club. We are also planning a goal-a-thon on June 12th in the sports complex. In addition, we are looking for team sponsors who will get advertising space in our souvenir program as well as donations of prizes we can use for our bingo night.
Hi, I'm Irene. I've been a part of AYSO since I was 5, and now I'm really happy to represent the U16 national team. And we're all honored to have this opportunity to play at such a high level of competition, and we're really excited to go to Florida and represent our city. Thank you.
Dear Mayor and City Council members, my name is Talim Bedrosian. I'm proud and honored to be part of the girls under 16 soccer team that will be representing Glendale and La Crescenta in the upcoming AYSO National Games in Florida over the 4th of July weekend. Our team has worked very hard and is undefeated. Our goal is to remain undefeated in Florida while representing the Jewel City. I'd like to thank our parents, our coaches, the region, and the great city of Glendale for supporting us throughout all the years that we've played soccer. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our supporters and contributors in advance for making this trip possible for our team. We hope to make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call up Coach Frank Bagari. Not just coach, but tell us what you are in the organization.
Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager, staff, I want to thank you all for giving us this opportunity to come over and bring you some good news. I am an executive board member of AYSO Region 88 that covers Glendale and La Crescenta. 3 of our teams, well, this is for the first time that 3 teams from Glendale get to go to the national games. In the past, we've been lucky to send 1 team only. And as Coach Alfred mentioned, the estimate is about $1,500 to $2,000 per player. And the girls are doing quite a bit of fundraising themselves because we want to make sure every one of them can go. Times are tough. Many of the parents really cannot just write a $2,000 check and send them because they have to pay their own way. I am coaching the girls under 19 team for the national games. Only 24 teams per age group get to participate from all across the nation, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's our own little World Cup, if you will, and it is a World Cup year. My girls, my team, they're actually doing a car wash next Saturday at the Sunland McDonald's, and so bring a $5 bill and bring your car and let us take care of it for you, and that's going to help pay for the girls to go there. The other thing we're doing on our website, we are adding a page that shows every team's fundraising effort. And we can absolutely use everybody's help. And if I can take a couple of minutes and introduce a couple of my players, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much for your support. You've been absolutely incredible, and our program appreciates everything you guys do for us. Thank you.
Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Ceja, and I am 18 years old. Going to Florida to go play in the national games is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for me and most of the girls on the team. This will be my last year playing for AYSO because at one of the tournaments on March 27th, the 4th weekend of March, I tore my ACL. So I'm toughing it out this season because I really want to play. It's a huge opportunity for me and the Glendale region in general. And sorry, I will be having surgery in either August or September, so I will not be able to come back to play for the following season. And as my coach mentioned, we have a car wash, but he made a mistake. It is not next Saturday, it's this Saturday. So from 10 to 3.
He misspoke. He didn't make a mistake. He misspoke.
Sorry. But any bit of help would be greatly appreciated, and thank you for everything.
Can you tell us again the hours of the car wash and the location?
From 10 till 3 at the McDonald's parking lot. Sunland.
Sunland. On Foothill, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, girl. Okay, Tony Friedman. And players, or...
Don't worry, they're not going to speak. Come on, gentlemen. Good evening, Mayor Najarian and members of the City Council. My name is Tony Friedman, and I am here tonight on behalf of Coach Serge Grakassian. We feel truly lucky to represent Glendale and coach the young men of AYSO Region 88's Boys Under 16 national team. You may recognize some of these players who were acknowledged by you last year after winning the state championship. And as you heard, there are 3 teams that will be representing Glendale in the national games this year, which is very exciting. These boys have worked very hard to develop as athletes, teammates, and as young men. In many ways, this team represents the diversity that now makes Glendale great. The trip to the national games will be the culmination of their years of dedication to AYSO, but it is not inexpensive to take a team of 18 boys across the country. I'm here tonight not only to raise awareness of our accomplishments, but also to raise awareness of how we intend to fund this trip. I appreciate this forum and respectfully ask this council and all citizens of Glendale to aid as much as they are able. We have already had 1 successful car wash at Glendale Community College. We're selling $2 raffle tickets for some really great prizes, and these boys have been doing that on their own. Of course, we have sponsorship opportunities and are accepting donations in any amount because every bit helps. And our biggest fundraiser is a very special evening of music and dining on Friday, May 21st at the Flamingo Banquet Hall on Foothill. I believe a flyer was just passed out to you. This evening will feature Mario Reyes of the Gypsy Kings and DJ Rob Chismar. And it will be a very fun evening, and we'd like to invite everyone to join us there. For more information and for tickets, you can call Serge at, and handily here. I don't know which one to point that out to, but at 626-622-7430, or email him at graks3@aol.com. And I would respectfully ask your permission to get the promotional flyer that you received onto Channel 6, the local channel, for the council. Thank you for your time and support.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, gentlemen. Mr. Quintero, then Mr. Weaver.
Well, I just wanted to say, well, first of all, let me give the audience at home some of the dates. A June 5th bingo night, AYSO bingo night, and where would that be? At the dance club, where?
Next to the fire department.
Okay, the dance club, all right, Kenyatta Boulevard, the dance club by Babe Herman. Then there was a car wash this Saturday, 10 to 3, at the McDonald's on Sunland Foothill. And then a concert, and this sounds real interesting, by one of the Gypsy King singers. Friday, May 21st at the Flamingo Banquet Hall on Foothill Boulevard. What I wanted to tell the kids was I grew up, I was born and raised in Florida playing baseball and football, so is Laura Friedman. You better get ready for July in Florida. You have no idea. You think it's hot because you've been to Palm Springs and this and that. All kidding aside, you guys better really, really train in the heat. Don't look for any shade, in the heat, and get ready. But I think you're going to do real well. You guys are champions. You've won in the past, and we're going to do everything we can to help you and promote your activities. AYSO is just an incredible organization. For those that don't know, it's basically run by parents and other supporters. I mean, everything is volunteers, the coaches just spend an incredible amount of time helping young boys and girls into their activities. So it's just a great organization, and we're all very, very proud of you.
Thank you, Coach Quintero. Coach Weaver.
I'm not a coach, but I'm curious, of all the cities in the United States, we get 3 teams selected. what kind of criteria are they looking at when they make the selection that we're that good that they send 3 teams? I mean, that has to be the only city in the country that has something like that going. Does any coach, can you tell me how they select teams?
4 teams, 3 girls and 1 boy.
Oh, that's why 4 teams. They pull them out of a hat, or?
They won the lottery.
It's a lottery? You won the lottery big time, eh? Not bad.
And before we move on to the next 1 or 2 speakers, I'd like to thank everyone from AYSO for coming down. But, you know, when you go to another city to compete, it has lasting effects. As I mentioned earlier in a previous meeting, I was in the city of Cleveland this past weekend for a transportation conference. And I was speaking to some people, locals, that we had met at we were at an Indians game. This was after the conference classes, by the way. And they, well, what are you doing here? And I said, oh, I'm from Glendale. Oh, Glendale. Didn't you send an athletic team to compete here 3 years ago? And I'm like, we did. Who remembers that? We sent it, I forgot what sort of games it were, youth games, I think. And it was incredible that these people saw the name Glendale, and it stuck with them this whole time. And they got a great impression of the city because the youth and the parents and the coaches had the wherewithal and the dedication towards youth development to send a team all the way out to Ohio 3-4 years ago, and it stuck with them. So you are not just soccer players, you are our ambassadors for the city of Glendale when you go out to play. So really keep that in mind. People are going to look at you and see how you act and how you play and your sportsmanship and your coaches and your parents. And I'm an AYSO parent. I know I get a little loud at times, but really everyone looks at you and you carry the name Glendale with you everywhere you go. So good luck. I know that you'll do us very proud. Thank you very much. Now, if you would like to leave, I can take a short break for a minute or two and let you all get up before we get to the next speaker. So let's take a 2-minute recess. Thank you. We're back from recess. We just excused all our fine AYSO coaches and players and parents. But I think they forgot to mention one thing, and I'm going to go to Councilmember Friedman.
Yes, they asked me to announce that on May 14th, they're having their bingo night at Dad's Center at Babe Herman at, they believe, 6 o'clock, but there's 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, and there's more information about all of their fundraisers on the AYSO Glendale website. So hopefully people will go out and have fun and play bingo. And $5 for getting your car washed is awfully cheap. So I think you can help them raise money and get quite a bargain. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
Hope to
you.
see everyone there.
Thank you. The next speaker I have is Sharon Weisman.
Well, I'm sorry you let all the captive audience go before I had to make my announcement. Mayor Najarian and council members and staff and anyone listening, I'm Sharon Weisman from far north Glendale, and I'd like to invite you to join the Glendale Peace Vigil on Friday night, May 7th, for a showing of Rethink Afghanistan. It's at the Glendale Central Library, 222 East Harvard Street, at the corner of Louise. Doors open at 7, when you can browse displays from several community groups, enjoy coffee and light refreshments. There'll be books, DVDs, T-shirts for sale, lots of free information, and networking opportunities. The film will start around 7:30 and be followed by audience discussion. New for this event, we will have a hip-hop lyric poem performed by Dragon Kid, who is local from Glendale School District. And the current U.S. involvement in Afghanistan drags along in its 9th year with no end in sight. The man who presumably orchestrated the ostensible cause, the criminal act on September 11, 2001, Osama bin Laden, is still at large somewhere. News reports say he's perhaps in Afghanistan, perhaps in Pakistan, our ally. American and other coalition troops' lives are being lost, as well as those of Afghan fighters and civilians. Terrorism continues, as breaking news from New York City attests. We hope you will join us for this timely reevaluation of the wisdom of this war. Another timely aspect of this conflict is the massive cost to pursue this war, along with the Iraq War and the U.S. military presence in 150 countries around the world. With the current budget crisis facing all local public agencies, it is critical to understand where our tax dollars are being spent. I brought some information from the War Resisters League to illustrate just how much of our resources are spent in this corporate welfare for warmongers. And I've also brought flyers for the film that I'd like to share with the board, and I'm sorry, with the City Council, and some flyers on the money spent. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And just I have a minute left. I want to share with you, I just gave briefly the same invitation to the Board of Education meeting, and because they were filled with a lot of teachers and it had already come up that they want a reduction in their electrical rates, I took a minute there to say I thought that was robbing Peter to pay Paul, that if the district got a break on electricity from the city, it might save a few teachers' jobs and cost us firemen or policemen or other jobs. It's really fighting over crumbs, and I really hope you work with your colleagues on the Board of Education to change the fundamental funding structure from Sacramento and work at the federal level to get more money for all local agencies. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And that's the last card I have for a 3-minute session of oral communications. If anyone had submitted a card and I've overlooked it, please come forward, but we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda otherwise. Let's move on. Mr. Kasakian?
At 7, adoption of ordinances. At 7A is ordinance amending Section 13.04.010 and Chapter 13.28 of the Glendale Municipal Code 1995 relating to the city's recycled water service. This was offered on April 27, 2010 by Councilmember Draymond.
Mr. Draymond.
Mr. Mayor, I would move the item at 7A.
Second.
I don't have any cards, and there's any discussion, we'll take roll call.
Councilmembers Draymond?
Yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
Quintero?
Yes.
Weaver?
Aye.
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Under action items, at 8A is Director of Community Services and Parks regarding Glendale's entry into the 2011 Pasadena Tournament of Roses Parade. At 8A1 is a motion approving the Say Cheese as Glendale's float entry in the 2011 Pasadena Tournament of Roses Parade. At 8A2 is a motion authorizing city manager to execute a contract agreement with Phoenix Decorating Company, Inc. in the amount of $99,000 for the construction of Glendale's 2011 float entry.
Mr. Champchin.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian and members of the City Council. The 122nd Tournament of Roses Parade on January 1, 2011 will mark Glendale's 97th float entry, the second longest-standing participant in the parade's history. Glendale's floats have over 50 major awards, 12 of them being sweepstakes awards. The 2011 float entry, Say Cheese, will depict the mouse taking pictures on an old-fashioned bellows camera, highlighting a variety of family memories. I will call Gary Ackerman and Chris Lofthouse in a few minutes. You just give me a few moments. The cost of the Glendale 2011 float is $99,000. Funding, of course, is contingent upon City Council voting on our budget, which is coming to you soon. It's estimated that the Glendale Rose Float Association will contribute $50,000 towards that float. The design was presented to the Parks and Recs Commission on April 17th, and they unanimously voted to make the recommendation to City Council. With that, I'd like to call up Gary Ackerman and Chris Lofthouse. Gary is the president of the Glendale Rose Float Association. Chris Lofthouse is the owner of Phoenix Floats. Chris is over here. And I think Gary also has a check presentation for the 2010 float.
I've dropped it several times and it didn't bounce, so that's got to be a good sign. We presented the check to the city for $50,000. The extra $5,000, we paid the entry fee of $5,000 to get into the parade. We're very proud of this float. Chris, I want to show them the float. Please, here's my check. This is 35 feet long, 25 feet high, has an old-fashioned bellows camera. The theme this year is Building Dreams, Friendship, and Memories. Glendale being over 100 years old, they have a long history of photographs that every album, every family has. And this is, we hope to emphasize the ethnicity and the character of Glendale to the proud families that have lived in Glendale for all these years. Glendale also has a history of Edward Weston, who was a photographer, well-known photographer, when Glendale was known as Tropical. Very distinguished photographer. And we have a fine family of people to emphasize. Each of these frames will have a real person in it or several people with heritage and other things that they want to depict. We're going to have 10 writers.
Very good.
Quick question, will that flash be flashing?
It's going to have strobe, not strobe lights, but I have LED.
It will be flashing.
Like the Alex did.
That's going to be a very striking float.
I think so, too. I think it's a winner.
Are there frames on the other side, too?
Absolutely.
Yes. and we auction off the seats to help pay for the float. We also have an association where we get members to help support the float. With this year, as in last year, we're also going to have a dinner. On our board is Jerry Salthouse, who is a chef on a 180-foot yacht moored in Monaco. He cooked a meal for Princess Grace. He's going to duplicate that this year, June 17th and 19th. Grand occasion.
This float's 8 feet over height.
Correct.
It'll be up there.
Right, it's going to, yeah, we want to go real bold with the flash and the.
A lot of seaweed.
A lot of seaweed. Actually, this float this year has a lot of good opportunity for a lot of black as well. It's a tradition.
So you know, any black you see in the parade is seaweed.
Not necessarily. Sometimes.
Well, you got something new?
Sometimes it's onion seed.
Very good. Is it going to be?
You decide. I don't.
Is it going to be tough to recreate the images in the photo in the frames?
No, because they're going to be real people.
Oh, those will be the real people there.
We're building the frames, and the people in the frames are citizens. Okay.
Last year we had 10 riders. We had a Glendale fireman, a Glendale policeman, a decorated military person, Boy Scout, a person of the medical field, a teacher, and 5 riders or 4 riders, including our granddaughter, who was a thrill of her life to ride on the float.
Interesting. Kind of Harry Potter-esque, where they're moving inside the frames. Interesting.
If I could take a moment, I'd like to have my board stand.
Sure, have them stand up and introduce them, Gary.
We have quite a wonderful member of the community, members of the community here that support the Rose Float, work hard to bring the float to you. We're very proud of them.
Ms. Friedman. Very good. Is the mouse going to be someone in a costume, or will that be?
He's real.
25 feet up.
He's real.
Want to volunteer? Mayor, you want to do it?
That's a great idea.
I don't. Okay, great. Well, thank you. Is there any discussion on this? So the item before us is to accept your check
Yes, naturally.
and to allocate the funding in the
And
budget.
approve
And you approve the design.
Right.
approve this float.
And I do have one speaker, Mr. Mohill.
Mr. Mayor.
Three.
Good evening, Mayor Najarian, council members. Name is Mike Mohill, long-term resident of Glendale. I always loved the parade. I always loved the rose float and so forth. But a couple years ago, I was over in Burbank. There's a friend of mine was there, and he lives there, and their float is done by about 25 volunteers at the city warehouse. And the whole community gets involved and builds a float. I said, wow. That's pretty neat. I bet there's a bunch of artists in that group who get involved, too, with that. And it's not a commercial event. It's a personal thing. So when that float goes down Colorado Boulevard, the people say, hey, that's my city. They don't say, we wrote a check for $100,000 and had someone build us a float. It's something to think about for next year. We're talking about promoting the arts in Glendale. Well, please, let's not make it, let's get our people. You talked about we have all these storefront art stuff going on. I'm sure we can find about 100 people who would love to decorate one of Glendale's floats. All you have to do is pay them lunch and dinner. Okay? Volunteers. It's easy to write a check, but it's harder to do the walking. Thank you all.
And before Mr. Weaver responds and people from the parade, I would just, if you ever need any information on a subject, Mr. Mohill, feel free to contact one of us and pull us aside and ask some of the questions that you'd like to ask. So now I'm going to go to Mr. Weaver to tell it how it really is.
No, I just say, Chris, you could probably confirm, I think Burbank has the facilities in which to build the float, construct it, and decorate it. We don't. And I believe I read a couple months ago the main person that did the welding and put it all together is no longer there. I think he passed away or gone. So they're going to have a much tougher time in the future doing it. They got to find welders and other people to do it. And as far as volunteers, in this past year, I think we had over 600 student volunteers. You want volunteers? Over 600. And every student that worked on the float got community service hours in the school. I have kids that had started in 8th grade, gone clear through college, into the professions, and come back to work again because they love doing it. Right now, I have a number of college students that work on the float. So it is indeed a community event. It's been very successful over the years. So I kind of object to being told that we're not doing enough in this community. This is our 97th float, second longest in parade history. We're going to be there for the 100th, so it's something to be very proud of. float that is viewed by some 2 or 3 billion people in the world. And the last year, we had the distinct honor of purposely being made the last float in the parade and having the jets fly over and the flags in front and back of the float. That was done by the Tournament of Rose Association, and it was our float that they picked to do it. So that was a great honor to the city of Glendale, too. So, you want some motions?
And you know this all because, what's your role, Mr. Weaver?
I'm the crew chief.
Crew chief. So there are
This will
hundreds of volunteers.
This will be my 16th year.
Unpaid crew chief, hundreds of volunteers.
The only unpaid
You don't even
crew
feed them,
chief.
do you? I mean,
No, they have to buy their own
Right,
food.
so it's-
But I am the only unpaid crew chief. All the others turn in their...
if Mr. Mohill volunteered, would we...
Well, I'd find something for him to do.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other cards. Are there any other comments, Mr.
No
Weaver?
comments, I'll move 8A, 1 and 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Council members Draymond,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Quintero.
Yes.
On this item? No, Weaver,
Aye?
Mayor Najarian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is Chief of Police regarding, at 8B, regarding implementation of public access to web-based crime mapping. At B1 is a motion to note and file report.
I wondered why he was sticking around. No chief.
Lieutenant.
Evening.
Nice to see your front side. I saw your backside in the downtown dash as it pulled away from me further and further towards the finish
Next year,
line.
we're changing that. We're changing some of the rules for us next year.
Actually, before he starts, I wanted to ask, is that an enhanced badge of some sort?
Oh, we've had these for a few years.
Yeah?
It works well with a coat and tie as opposed
bulletproof.
to as opposed to
Seems different.
a uniform.
Right over the heart.
Okay, thank you. Let's. You read the item into the record, Mr. Kasakian, so the floor is all yours, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Carl Povolitis with the Glendale Police Department Special Operations on behalf of Chief DePompa. Really excited to be here tonight and happy to talk about a component of our iLead program, which stands for our Information-Led Enforcement and Accountability Data. This is one of Chief DePompa's and the Glendale Police Department's initiatives that are going on this year to integrate data and to move us into the world of near real-time information, if not, and into the world of predictive policing, which is really the cutting edge of policing, and all designed to help make the community a little bit safer. If you'll indulge me just for a little bit, for a moment before we get into the component we're going to talk about, which is crime mapping tonight. The iLead program is really talking about information integration and looking at multiple information sources from our internal data sources, our citywide data sources, whether they be state, federal, things that are available in the public, everything that's internal, bringing all of that information together and then using that to help identify potential areas in the community that are what we would call hotspots, looking at how we can use that information to deploy our personnel differently, all designed to help make the community safer. But as you notice, one of the key components of this is community partnerships and information, which is the part that we're going to talk about in just a second here on crime mapping. But I would also be remiss, because there's a couple people who are accompanying me here, because I don't do all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. We have an information technology application specialist who is running the computer tonight. But when we're talking about integrating all these sort of disparate information sources, he has quite a job, because what we're trying to do is not only get information at the fingertips of the public, but get information right to the fingertips of our police officers in a real-time basis. And Steve Reed's job is to help really pull all that information together and get it out in what I call a very user-friendly way. And then the other person who's very quietly standing in the corner is our senior crime analyst, Abigail Luson, who really does a lot of the lifting in terms of the analysis, and then one person who's not with us here tonight, Albert Mesa. And I can tell you, not having done a lot of math in college, but when we start looking at some of our more complex formulas, Abby handles the formulas. I look at them and literally see Greek. And really have to trust her. But she is, both of these are great employees for the city of Glendale and really helping to move the police department, beyond, if you will, the cutting edge. From here, if you would, the part that we're going to talk about tonight is crime mapping, which is really designed to put information out at the fingertips of the public and give the public a sense of what is happening within their own neighborhood. This is an internet-based service. It can be accessed by going to www.crimemapping.com, and we'll give you a live demonstration in just a couple of minutes. It will allow you to look at your neighborhood to see what kind of activity is going on in a variety of categories. It is also used by some other jurisdictions. There is a move, at least afoot, within the police community to try to get everybody onto a common platform. That hasn't all happened yet, but Glendale is on this platform. Pasadena is also on this platform. And what will be available to the public is about 90 days worth of crime information that is stored in the computer. The types of crimes that are out there are listed there for you. A lot of communities only use Part 1 crimes, which is traditionally what you see in the FBI reports. We have gone a step beyond that. We have opened the information gates, if you will, a little bit further to provide people with a really good sense of what's going on. So you have arson, assaults, burglary, disturbing the peace, drug and alcohol violations, driving under the influence, frauds, homicides, which fortunately we don't have a lot of, motor vehicle thefts, robberies, our sex crimes, theft, larceny, burglary, and vandalism. So any crime that fits in that category will be available for mapping. The system is, for the most part, automatic. Once the police report goes into the system, the computer picks it up and then makes it available on the mapping system. Now, the one caveat I will put in there is, if you see a police car in the neighborhood and then you go look at the computer, you may not immediately see something there. There is a lag from about 24 hours from when the police report is finished to when the information becomes available. There could also be some situations where if the mere identification of putting the crime out there, the mere disclosure of it, could jeopardize the crime, then its display would be delayed on the crime mapping system. However, the police department, and this does not supplant the police department's other methods through its public information officer of putting out information that is vital to public safety. This is really designed to supplement that on the theory that having a informed community means that you have an aware community, and an aware community has the ability to integrate and have a strong partnership with the police department in understanding what's going on with their neighborhood, being as we've talked about in the past, the eyes and ears of the neighborhood. Now it's informed eyes and ears, and that allows us to put this information back into our system of crime analysis through iLeads and use that to help figure out how to make the community even safer than it already is. Very quickly, the information that is displayed when you go to the website, it will give you a general case, a case number. It will give you the general location by block number, the date and time, and the type of activity. There is no personal data, so people's names and specific addresses are not available via the internet. And then the map will allow you to overlay this data on either a basic street map or a satellite aerial photography type image. And then finally, the ways that you can look at this is to search it by the type of crime. You can look at various date ranges up to 90 days. You can pick your house, for example, or an address. You can put an address or a radius around it and see what's happening within that particular radius. And it even has the ability to, you can sign up for email alerts. So if something happens within that particular radius or a particular type of crime within that radius, it will send an email to you letting you know that it has happened, and it even has some charts and graphs that you can look at that give you a basic trend information. Now, if we could, if you don't have any questions, the basic thing, probably the easiest way is to show you a live demonstration here for a couple of seconds. As I said, you can go to this by going to www.crimemapping.com. You can either check an agency or click on the state, but we'll bring up Glendale Police Department. You can see there are quite a few communities that are using the data here. And as it zooms itself in here, it will start to populate with crimes. Now that looks fairly heavy. Now everybody please realize the scale of the map is pulled back. The icons are rather large, so you're looking at what appears to be things. As we zoom in, you'll get a little bit of a different sense of things. Steve, if you bring us up to the crime types. They're up there in various icons. As you go over the top of it, it will tell you what each icon means. You can select one, you can select none. It's really a point and click, fairly easy way to to do things. So as you can see, as he's taking things off, things are disappearing. So if you have an interest in a particular type of issue, you can look at it citywide. You can also look at it a little slower. The stuff way off there to the right, that is Pasadena. They are also on the system. And as I said, just when you compare cities, just be careful. Every city does have the ability to decide what information it chooses to display and what it doesn't. Some have chosen only to put part ones up and not display other parts. As I said, we have chosen to basically put all of the information out there so that you can look at it and assess it for yourself. You can also pick a set of date ranges here. As I said, it's point and click. You pick a starting date and you pick an ending date. And it will adjust itself to that particular date range. Then finally, we can go to the address, and I'll have Steve put the police station in there, 131 North Isabel, and select a radius, so you can kind of get a sense of what it is, unless someone wants to volunteer their house. I wouldn't recommend it, but here what you have is now the activity for between April 26th and May 2nd, 2010. In a 1 mile radius of 131 North Isabel. And again, you can go back to the crime types, you can select, deselect the types of crimes, you can look at things. If you click on one of the icons, you can change the radius, either larger or smaller. If you click on one of the icons, that's the information that comes up. It's a little hard to see from here. And as I'm getting older, I'm probably heading for glasses pretty soon. The eye chart is getting more challenging at this distance. You can look at the type of violation that it shows up. It will give you the case number, set the date, the block number, and that. And Steve, just to show them what it is, would you move it over to a satellite area?
Drunken Public at City Hall.
If you see
What
the,
it says.
if you see the one that has a question mark, that just means that there are multiple crimes reported at that location. When you click on that, it gives you a multiple window, and you can click on the area, and you can toggle between them. And then, if you will, on the agency selection, if you only want to see what's happening with, go up to the top, where it says agencies. If you only want to see what's happening with Glendale, what you can do up there is simply select Show Crime Report, top one, Show Crime Reported by Glendale Police. And so if you happen to have the map zoomed out far enough where you're picking up Pasadena's data and you don't want to see Pasadena's data, you can eliminate it from the map. And then finally, just before I conclude, the two reports. If for the area that you've selected, if you'd like to see it in graphic and chart format, there you have a pie chart that shows the data within that selected radius for the selected time frame, and then the types of crimes that are reported. You get a bar chart showing the dates and how many occurred on those particular dates. For those people who really like to do their own home analysis, you can have your own. You can do your own trend analysis, which should lead for a very intelligent conversation with an area commander or with one of our community policing officers or one of our patrol officers. And then if you're one of those folks who likes lists, you can get it in a detailed format that gives you the basic information now on the list. And if you want to go back to the map to see where it is, you can click on one of those icons. It'll take you back to the map to show you where the incident occurred. Finally, the last thing I think we need to talk about is up in the upper right-hand corner where it says Receive Crime Alerts. This is the do-it-yourself, fill it in. I would like to know what's happening within a particular area. You enter your email address, you enter your address, enter the radius around that address, whatever it is that you want to know about what's happening. When the system updates, it will send you an email with that information on hand. Then you can go back to the computer system. Again, this is self-service, where we used to have Abby, Albert, or Steve pick up the phone and answer lots of questions for people who wanted to know what was going on in their neighborhood. As of late yesterday afternoon and as of today, it is now available to the community on a self-service basis. And as I think we find that an aware community, an informed community is an aware community, and an aware community will help us help you make the community safer. With that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Weaver.
Does Los Angeles have this yet?
Not yet. They were using a different system. Some of my lower-level contacts say that they are looking at this particular system, but they haven't made a final decision.
And Burbank?
Burbank is not up and running on this yet. Pasadena is. So
La Cañada, Flintridge?
Sheriffs are on their own. But as I said, several communities have gone to this. And one of the things I think for us is, I think you can see this is pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
I mean, I can even go in and use it, and so I'm the beta test. I tease Steve only half jokingly that when he creates something, if I can figure out how to work my way through it, then I think we've probably hit a bar that the average person can get through it. I'm not what I would describe as technically savvy.
Mayor, the news press called me today for some reason for the interview, and one thing I brought up to him was many times in the past I've told residents, if you see something and you think, oh, it's too minor, I don't want to bother with the police, I always said, call the police and let them know. Because there could be other people calling and the police could start to see a pattern of something happening. This just may stimulate more people looking at these and seeing things in their neighborhood, calling in or emailing in saying, well, I just saw this other person look suspicious. We've had this kind of crime up here. I told them that'll probably be a big benefit to the police department.
I would concur. Part of this is being aware of what's happening in your own neighborhood and knowing what's going on. This makes it easier. So that allows a conduit information to come back into the police department and kind of that first wheel graph that we had. It feeds back into that system. We're looking at a lot of data and a lot of numbers, but there's still what I like to call the human intelligence and what comes in from the members of the community that are important in how we respond to situations and how we continue to police and make the community safe.
What I've heard about is burglaries in the neighborhood. When people look out and they see a van sitting in a driveway, it doesn't appear there's anybody home, but the van is there. That would cause suspicion.
So please call.
Send it in.
This we're hoping will heighten awareness on that if there are issues going on, that something unusual is going on, it's worth picking up the phone and give us a call. Yep. We're here. We can respond, and better that we come and check it. If it turns out to be nothing, no harm, no foul. If it does turn out to be something, then we're ahead of the game, and your neighbor's house isn't burglarized.
Very good.
Ms. Friedman.
Yeah, well, this is very interesting, and so it's nationwide. Do you have an idea of how many communities are making this?
There are several dozen nationwide. In California, probably the bigger ones are Oakland, Santa Ana. You have some of the smaller ones. You have Big Bear, Chino Hills, and you have Pasadena to our north have selected this vendor. There is some competition out there on another one. I said this one seems to work really well for us, for our needs. The vendor's been very good about working with our existing systems.
And what do we pay to be involved in this?
About $2,000 a year for the maintenance, and the number for what it costs us to buy the software is it's a joint venture.
So it's very nominal. So it's pretty amazing.
And considering what we get in terms of being able to provide information to the community, which is said hopefully is now a self-service basis, I think it's a very good value for the.
Does it also show if there's arrests from other agencies within our borders? That'll show up also?
We don't show arrests on this. This one simply shows reported crimes.
I see.
We have an internal system that we're working with that is a little bit more robust and really designed for police professionals with all the data that's confidential that we can't necessarily put out to the public, that we're using internally to do some of the same things.
So if there were FBI crimes reported to the FBI, that wouldn't show up?
No, this works off our internal systems.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Quintero.
Well, I'm very impressed. It's an excellent tool. I mean, I think people can really zero in on their neighborhoods and get a feel for what's going on.
And I said, for a modern generation that's sort of geospatially oriented and very visually oriented, this seems to be a good way to display data.
Another question.
Mr. Weaver.
In the police car, will they be able to pull this up on the screen in the cars? I forgot what you said.
Anybody worldwide with access to the World Wide Web, including the police cars, can get this.
But they have a screen in the car where
and
they
then
can.
We're actually working on a short. Well, we have unlimited display inside. We have an internal system that looks very similar to this with additional information because it includes confidential information that doesn't go public, and that will also end up in the police cars. So, as said, we're literally moving this to the officers' fingertips. This is at the community's fingertips. It's at the officers' fingertips. As said, the world is advancing, and the police department is advancing rapidly.
One step ahead of the criminal.
That is the goal.
So, a reported crime is on here. So that doesn't mean that a crime actually occurred, correct?
It works off our nature of call. So once we take the police report, that police report goes through the automatic report writing system and into our records management system, and it's been verified as at that point the officers is basically saying that based on what they have, a crime has occurred.
Okay, so it
then goes there.
So it's at least something that would generate a report.
Yes,
Would be the
this is
threshold
generated by a
that-
police report number.
I see, okay.
Before it goes here. Now, if at some point, let's say, we determine that something was reported as a burglary, and it's not a burglary, it's a petty theft, or it's a lost wallet, and it changes, then this will update. It will change right along with it. And so there's about 90 days of data here.
Does this require extra data input on behalf of the officers, or how does that?
No, this, all that information is already input into the system. We have automated report writing systems, and we have a records management system. All that data is already resident. What this does is it pulls the data out of various parts of that system, if you will. I'm going to use the term cleans it. So it strips off the personal information, like specific names and addresses, does some things so that you can't identify a particular victim, and then makes it available here. So it's all this is all software and automation.
Okay. So previously, I mean, in my practice, in my law practice, when I was looking at a particular location, and I wanted to determine how many prior shootings there were, let's say, at a location with regard to a adequate security issue, I would have to go through what they call the PACMIS, order a PACMIS report. I don't know what the acronym is, so I'd have to call the sergeant of the division, and he would hem and haw and give me a hard time and send in your check, and, oh, you made it out to the wrong place. And like 8 weeks later, I'd get a stack of police reports that respond to my request. So this is all doable in just a matter of a few clicks then, to find out the types of crimes, if I wanted a particular location or a short radius?
You could put in your business address, a bar, a client's address, and with the caveat, what you have here is about 90 days worth of data. You could find out what's happened there or within that radius for 90 days.
Any 90 days.
Automatically for free. Now, if you
I would pay for that, though.
If you want the police reports or more detailed information, then we're dealing with California Public Records Act, and you have to make requests, and it has to go through that process. This is all public information, and it's all available. As I said, the value being that the people in the community now understand what's going on in the neighborhood, making them aware. As I said, I think this is probably a good public service. It's good information to have in the hands of our residents and our business owners to help them be part of the community and help them work with us in making this place safe.
And these are misdemeanors and above? You don't go to...
Traffic tickets aren't here. Traffic collisions aren't here. This is all misdemeanor or felony criminal activity that generates a report.
Carl, you said 90-day period. Can it be any 90-day period or just the last?
No, it's this system holds the last 90 days. So if you can kind of think of it as a rolling 90 days.
Because when they put in from here to here, you can't back it to another year and pick up a 90-day.
No, there's only 90 days worth of data available on this server, if you will. More detailed requests than we have to handle differently. But as I said, most people in the community and for what we're looking at are interested usually in what happened more recently. So this allows people to stay on top of the current trends, if you will.
Just if you're a computer bug and you'd like to sit there all day.
So how do we log on to this?
www.crimemapping.com, and it's no passwords required. Just select Glendale, and you're off and running. And of course, you can select any other city on that system if you're interested in seeing some other city.
When does it start?
It is active now. What you saw right there is live current data. It is running.
Crime mapping?
Crimemapping.com. Great. Any other comments? This is a receive and file. Motion to note and file.
I'll move the item.
Is there a second?
Second.
If there's no objections, we'll just accept this by acclamation. Okay. Item passes. Okay, let's move on then.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the next item is we return to oral communication, where discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report.
Thank you. Carmen Wilson, followed by Mike Mohill. Don't leave the room, Mr. Mohill.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carmen Wilson. I live at 3505 Emerald Isle Drive. I've been living there for about 33 years. This is an encroachment in my property. For 7 months, it has not been sold by the Building and Safety. Our next door neighbor, 3511 Emerald Isle Drive in Glendale, encroach on our property, excavating first. First of all, was not a permit to make room to build a wall 11 foot tall, 85 linear feet, to use for a setback to build a guest house. We didn't know for sure that they were on our property due to being on a hillside. We surveyed our property and immediately went to Building and Safety to let them know the problem that we were having. We made an appointment with the inspector, Mike Cook, and Ron Billing. They could tell immediately by the survey, yes, they were in our property. The wall was in our property. We also made an appointment to see Stuart Tom, head of the building and safety. Yes, he could tell they were in our property. They have been giving him plenty of time to correct. We received letters of process for the last 7 months. The last letter by Deputy City Attorney, permits were revoked. Needed to demolish guest house by March 31st. A month has gone by. Neighbor hired an attorney, and they have given them more time. I was thinking, why do we need building and codes if they don't follow them? I urge you to help us with this matter. All we want is to clear our property. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mohill, followed by Nancy Kent. Yes.
I would like to give you this. This is a permit.
Okay. Why don't you- Yes,
And there's a
we will.
picture of the wall.
We'll make some comments and questions at the end of oral communication, so don't leave, please.
Mayor, Nigerian council members, Mike Mohill, long-term resident. Mr. Quintero, Councilman Quintero, you basically told me and other city activists to chill out last week when I was here because of a passion for accountable government. People who are familiar with the city council tell me that when you were running for office in 2000, you suggested the city council meetings be held at 6 p.m. rather than at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Because at 6 p.m., more people from the public would be available to come to council meetings. Thank you very much for your foresight in that issue, sir. But you fulfilled your promise, and more people today are participating and watching the council meetings on TV or on the internet. But it seems that you have changed. Slowly, you've accumulated more years as a councilman. You no longer see the value of those ideas about people's public participation, especially if the speakers don't agree with your point of view. As a community council forum last year, you called community activists like me an inappropriate word, which many in the audience found very appalling from a city public official. Every year you've been in council, you've helped increase city expenditures by tens of millions of dollars. You claim that you are a prudent businessman and a fiscal conservative, but there is nothing in your actions, sir, as a councilman to support that action. For years, you've approved large paid pension benefits for your favorite charity, the police and fire unions. As you took their campaign money, contributions, and now the city has a huge budget deficit while you practice slash and burn on the city services with your favorite city manager, Mr. Starbird. People tell me, that in the past you were either AWOL to the budget session or you came to these meetings quite disinterested. So now you don't want to be held accountable for your recklessness of your city spending under your watch or how you contributed to the deficit that I and my neighbors have to suffer, like the potholes and the crumbling roads throughout the city. You mentioned by comparison that the bad roads of Los Angeles, as if that is what your ultimate goal is for Glendale. Thank God we are not there yet. But it seems you sure want to take us there. You are just like your friend and colleague, Mr. Weaver. Look at him, Mr. Quintero, please. That's what you've become. Are you proud of your accomplishments, sir? He's your twin. Like Mr. Weaver, you're arrogant nowadays. You're condescending nowadays. You're dismissive nowadays of the public. Mr. Weaver is your twin brother, the Bobbsey twins we have here. But do we deserve to have two twins on council today? That, I think, is one of the reasons why we should have term limits. The more years you have been a politician, you remain in office, the less you feel accountable to the public. You even are aloof. I never thought, sir, this could possibly happen, but now you're even more offensive and more downright nasty to me and to those people who want to participate in this thing called democracy. Thank you. Thank you, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Mohill. Nancy Kent.
Nancy Kent, resident of Southeast Glendale, and I was not planning to speak about Councilman Quintero up here, but I'd like to say that I completely disagree with everything that the last speaker just said. I completely disagree with that. What I did come to speak about is to congratulate the city on the beautiful small park that was opened this weekend at Harvard and
Heritage Garden.
Thank you. At Harvard and Cedar Streets. And it seems to be an instant hit with the neighborhood. Every time I drive past there are adults and children using it. And the children seem to especially like the apparatus for climbing in it. And my next point is, I don't know if anyone here has mentioned Proposition 16 on the June 8th ballot. Everyone I know is voting no on Prop 16, and I wondered how, if at all, it affects the Glendale Water and Power. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other cards for oral communications. Therefore, I will close oral communications, and let's open it up to comments for the council.
Well, I have
Mr. Quintero.
I want to pursue the ladies' situation, so we need to get a report and get a feel for.
I have the address. I've already sent an email out to staff for a status report and an update, sure that we have the appropriate information and that we take appropriate action.
Okay. You came to the right place.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Quintero?
Well, then.
Don't go there.
Yeah, you know, I was making a list of. It's hard to get a hold of how to respond. All I can say, Mr. Mohill, and I only talk to you. I don't talk to other members of the audience. I only talk to you. You seemed unusually agitated these past few weeks, so that's why I thought in a friendly way I'd tell you to chill out. But anyway, just some of the highlights: potholes, crumbling roads. I don't really think roads are crumbling in Glendale. I certainly try not to be arrogant, condescending, aloof, or nasty. I enjoy what I'm doing very much, and I don't think most people find me that way. And I mentioned Los Angeles because one of your cohorts, and basically there's only two of you at this point. The third person doesn't come to the podium any longer.
The triplet.
The triplet, yeah, he doesn't. But I mentioned Los Angeles because the other guy lives in Los Angeles, and so I'm always sort of encouraging him to get together with his local city council member, where in fact there are potholes, roads are crumbling, they're in horrible financial shape. But anyway, no, I have a lot of respect for people that come to the podium, always listen to them, always make sure, same way with phone calls and emails and so forth. That's why I'm here. And then finally to Nancy Kent, well, we'll find out technically what Proposition 16 would do to us as a city, but that is bought and paid for by Pacific Gas and Electric, and so while it makes it seem that somehow that proposition favors the general public, in fact it doesn't. It only favors Pacific Gas and Electric. So those are my comments. I hope I wasn't too
Sir, do you deny any consanguinity with Mr. Weaver?
Absolutely
That was the same
not.
speech we heard this afternoon.
We heard that speech this afternoon.
You are not. Despite appearances, you are not twins.
Mr. Weaver mentioned that he has more hair than me, and I will say tonight, but I'm in better shape. So.
Most likely you are. Yes, sir.
Ms. Friedman.
Okay, Ms. Wilson, I think it was. We'll do our best to help you out. Sounds like a terrible situation. We're going to have to get more information from our city attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, we'll be happy to, at the staff level, discuss that and get into that, where they can help you much more quickly than we can as a group right now.
But I'm glad that you came here, and we will certainly do our best to help you out. To Mr. Mohill, I certainly, my colleagues don't need me to defend them, but I did want to just answer you a little bit about the term limit idea. They have term limits in the state assembly. How's that working out for them? And we do have a type of term limit here. They're called elections. Every 4 years, you get a chance, actually every couple of years, you get a chance to vote new people in and vote us out. And hopefully more people will avail themselves of that if they see fit and to be involved. So we do have a way to get rid of council members that we don't like, and people have taken advantage of that in the last 2 elections, as far as I know. To Nancy Kent and Sharon Weissman, you are both rays of sunshine. Thank you very much for all that you do for the community, for peace, for activism in Glendale. It's always a pleasure to see you here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver.
Oh, no. There's another Laker game on, so.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I can't resist, and I have to say something. My friend, Mr. Moe, not specifically to him, but about one of his concepts that he's raised. And of course, I don't think there's anyone up here that would say that he doesn't have the right to come here and speak during oral communications. That isn't the point. But it's just one item. I've been hearing for several weeks about the notion that speakers are being denied their constitutional rights to free speech as democracy unveils itself here at the Glendale City Council. And I finally just have to say something. And it's not even in defense of my colleague, Mr. Quintero, because he is quite capable of defending himself. And quite frankly, I don't think there's anything to defend, but it's the notion that we don't see democracy in practice here. And it's kind of ironic to me, because a person comes here, stands at the podium on live TV, streaming live over the internet, with a reporter from the local paper sitting here taking notes, with public coming to the chambers to watch, and assembled before not just Mr. Mohill, but all the speakers, all of their elected officials in the city of Glendale, all of their elected council members in the city, the mayor, a lot of key city staff, another elected official, the city clerk, to say that they're being denied their constitutional right to be heard. And I mean this most sincerely, Mr. Mohill. Give this a try at the supervisor's level. I don't know if you've ever been to a county supervisor's meeting. Good luck. It's like trying to catch a freight train going by at 1,000 miles an hour. There is so much activity on the dais, so much conversation, that the speakers don't even seem to be in the same room with what is going on on the dais. Try it at the state assembly level or at the state senate, let alone the governor. This is your most available form of representation, your local government in your municipality where you live, and that there just isn't another forum. And we sit here, we listen to what you have to say. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, the criticisms, the compliments. I don't know where you'd get a better hearing. But again, to those that say there's no public hearing to be had at a Glendale City Council meeting while they're on live TV, streaming live on the internet, being reported on by the local paper of record, and for 5 minutes at a time each Tuesday, and for, depending on the mayor's choice, but usually at least 3 minutes on any given topic, and for meetings in the afternoon that the folks in the evening don't necessarily see, Housing Authority meetings, Glendale Redevelopment Agency meetings, special meetings, joint meetings. We hear from you and others. And to say that you're not heard is just not so.
You forgot the replays.
And I forgot the replays. They're all archived so you can watch it at your convenience. And, by the way, just to be perfectly clear, every elected official in this city, not just the council, but city clerk and the city treasurer, our city staff, are all available by internet. We hear from you that way. We hear from you at public events. We hear from you at the street. We get letters in the mail. So to say that we're not listening is just not the case. You saw one of your fellow residents come before this council just a few moments ago, Ms. Wilson, with an issue related to her house and her property value and issues with potentially illegal structures built on her property, and she's getting action. Lastly, I would just add this, keep saying this stuff over and over and over and over and over, hoping to get traction with it. Just to share a little piece of advice my father gave me once, and that was that he used to say that you can try all you want, but you can't spin old lies into new facts. It just doesn't work. And it doesn't work here, and it won't work with the Glendale public in general. They're too smart for that.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver?
Just one thing to add on. It's not only the internet. That means anybody, anywhere in the world can watch us. Anywhere in the world. Russia, Siberia. It's worldwide. And heck, we know that John Beach is watching us from his home. Hi, John. Back east, where's it, Virginia? Arkansas. You're watching, aren't you, John? He always does. And he writes us emails telling us. So I think freedom of speech is being granted here.
It's alive and well.
Alive and well.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next item.
Is there any new business?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver.
I'd like to move that the city council, that the city attorney be and hereby is authorized to retain the services of Jones and Mayor Dean Fushi to initiate legal action in Superior Court. The case name and other particulars are unspecified, as to do so would jeopardize the city's ability to effectuate service of process on the unserved party or parties. The name or names of the defendants and either particulars shall be disclosed as required by law. The city attorney and special counsel are further authorized to incur any and all expenses necessary in connection with said matter. The agreement for legal service shall, in addition to other provisions, contain a fee cap and an estimated budget for the handling of said matter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Strayman?
Yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
Quintero?
Yes.
Aye.
Mayor Najarian?
Yes. That concludes our new business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
You're adjourned.